the main reason to do classical Christian education is if you're primarily focused, what education do I think is going to best equip my children to stay in the faith? This is the one.
So when I think about classical education, one of the things I love about classical is it allows us to educate children along the grain of their natural development as a child. So they begin in the grammar stage of the trivium, where they are asking a ton of questions. They're just really curious. They're curious about all things in life. So what we're going to do is we're going to pump them full of that knowledge where they can soak it up like a sponge. So we'll teach them lots of information through songs and jingles and chants, and they just love it because they get to learn all these different things that they're naturally curious about. But then once they get a little older, they move into the logic stage of the trivium. And in the logic stage, they begin to move from being naturally curious to being naturally argumentative. And so maybe you're in the car with your child, or you're at home at the dinner table, and they're just arguing or questioning things. And so again, we want to go along the grain of that natural stage of development and allow them to think deeply and to think inquisitively about these issues. And so what we do is we have a lot of roundtable discussions where we debate, we maybe even argue over issues. Was this a just war or not? Was this right that this person did that? And then they begin to go back and forth and really discuss these issues on a deeper level. A lot of times when I'm reviewing them for an exam, then they'll begin to say, oh, what was that? I don't remember what that was. And then I'll say, well, it was about this, some topic that they debated. And they'll say, oh yeah, we got in a big argument about that. So it's a way that they get to learn and understand through thinking logically and critically about issues. And then once they move on a little bit more and become a little bit older, then they move into the rhetoric stage of the trivium. And the rhetoric stage is where young men and young women begin to be really interested in how they're expressing themselves and how they're appearing to other people. And so we teach them how to communicate these truths in a winsome way, where they can take all the things that they've now thought through critically and then communicate them according to standards of truth, goodness, and beauty.
I've felt, at least like in my personal experience, that it's really helped formulate my growth as a person. Reading great literature has really helped me understand a lot of the concepts behind World Day events, and it's also helped formulate how I think critically, how I approach everything in life from a philosophical and theological mindset.
The classroom discussions where we sit around the table and we just, it really brings it to a personal level. Like, it's the same relational kind of thing where you get to see your professor face to face and he knows you, and you get to engage with your classmates, and their ideas are just as important as your ideas, and sometimes they're different than yours, and you have to argue with them, and that's something you won't get very many places.
I really enjoyed the omnibus curriculum where we sit around the round tables and we discuss, and it makes me have to come forth with an idea and present it to people, which can be intimidating, but also it's very good to make me and push me to present in front of people.
I like the conversations that we were able to have in omnibus class, because we get to hear so many different opinions that you're not just locked into your own. And especially the teachers are so much wiser than I am. I get to hear from their wells of wisdom, and it's wonderful.
It has taught me to think critically, just with the way that they teach our omnibus classes. It's just, they don't just give you the answers, they really teach you to, I guess, think for yourself, and think through all these issues independently, while also they're putting their biblical perspectives, their learned perspectives that they've gotten through their many years of education. Some are even getting PhDs, so they're very knowledgeable about all this stuff. And so I'd say it's definitely prepared me to present something new to the world instead of just doing what everybody else does, because this school is so different from all the others.
We get to actually have like a friendship with our teachers. We treat each other as like people, and not just that person who gives me a lecture.
They're incredible people. They're not just smart, but they're really godly people who really care about your education and just are constantly there to teach you, but also to, spiritually guide you or things like that. So that's one of the biggest things that has made an impact on me at this school, is just the teachers.
We have 3 halls here at Paideia Academy: Apostles Hall, Nicene Hall, and Athanasian Hall. And the halls were kind of introduced to help foster a sense of community between the grades and the upper school body. A lot of times in different schools, you'll see the grades not be able to really communicate with each other. Students in lower grades won't really know students in higher grades. So what we wanted to do was really create a place where students could come together, share community and fellowship, and do that in a way that's honoring and that's beautiful. We do that for a variety of ways, through various service projects and hall activities throughout the year, all to try and create a fuller human being.
They really bond you with the 7th graders, 8th graders, 9th graders. You just get that stronger bond in the high school. You get to pray together, you get to learn together, you get to play on the field together. It's just a really neat experience. Just really makes school fun.
We not only have a science program where we get to play with robots or do all this stuff, but we get to go out in the community and apply what we learn here to the fields that we enjoy and what we are called to do. Through the guild program here, we get to engage with people in our community in the fields we want to go into. And so, for instance, I want to go into medical field or something like that in the science areas. And so I've gotten to shadow a surgical oncologist, and I follow him around. I think I got 90 hours of service time, and so that if that's not hands-on science experience, I don't know what is.
St. John is the art guild, St. Matthew's business, St. Mark is communications, and St. Luke is medicine. And I chose St. John. And I was really interested in architecture because it takes something that's like art and design, and then it takes something like math and it merges them together. So I was just interested in that. I started doing some shadowing at UT in their architecture program, and also at local firms, just to get a full grasp of what architecture really was. Took that first design and I kind of slimmed it down, but still contained some of the central elements. And right now I'm actually meeting with an architect, and we're gonna start putting it in some form, like architectural format.
Last year I actually shadowed at the UT vet, and that was a really cool experience. I got to watch this surgery on a lion, a surgery on a snow leopard, just random surgeries on cats and dogs. And so I got to explore if I wanted to do that or not, and I kind of veered away from that, and being a caregiver, I went towards a caregiving. And so this year I'm working on my final portion, and that's I'm creating a camp for disabled kids. And so I'm drawing out the what the camp's going to look like, what the schedule's going to look like. And so I think in a month or so we're presenting that to the school body.
Well, I've been pushed to apply to multiple colleges just because I need multiple options, and I've applied to Union University, Wheaton College, and Covenant College. I've gotten acceptance letters from all 3 of them, and so it's basically just come down to who gives me more money.
I went to Union, and they were very impressed with, we showed them the curriculum and all the books that we had read from Paideia, and the lady was like, oh, if you want to go into the Keystone program, I'll get you in, and so you'll be accepted. And so it was an interview, and she was very impressed with that.
I think I am graduating and going into college as a sophomore. Yeah, I think we all almost have the same. Some have taken a few more, some a little less, but for the most part it's pretty even.
It started off where she just did an overnight stay, which I highly suggest to look at colleges.
So she went to the Great Ideas Institute at Samford as a summer program, mainly with the idea of, I might like this school, let me just go and spend some time there. So it was a program where they looked at classical works of literature. And so we dropped her off.
And she texted us and said, when you get here, Mom, he wants to see you. And I said, okay. And so I got there, and we found him, and he said, come on into my office. And we sat down, and we had 30 pieces of literature we looked at this week. She had read 28 of them And not only has she read them, she digested them and could answer questions on them. He said, we've never had this. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I cannot believe the director of this department of this prestigious, nice college is telling me this. And he says, she's fellows material. And then he said, tell me about her school, tell me about her upbringing, you know. And I'm like, well, you know, and I said, we're just this little Christian classical school that started about 10 years ago. And I said, you know, we're not the average cookie cutter Christian school. He goes, that's what we like. And I had no idea that was coming, and it blew us away. But it was somebody acknowledging what we have been doing here at Paideia.
I think that they were impressed with just her ability to think. Her familiarity with material they looked at was one thing, but then her ability to think and digest and to discuss, and she enjoyed it. She didn't feel intimidated by it. She didn't feel under pressure. It came naturally to her because that's what she had been doing in her classes with Mr. Garner for that year, all year long.
That was the same time where they were going over one of Cicero's letters, and when we got in the car to come home, Hannah said, yes, we actually read that same letter in 10th grade in Latin. And they were speaking, and he said, well, I'll see you in January. And that was at the interview day. And she said, oh, I hope so. That would be nice. He goes, no, Hannah, you will be there. Well, there were over 400 applicants. There were 160 they picked to come to the interview day. And out of that, they'll pick 40. This is their University Fellows program, which is their honors program. Hannah just went last Saturday and competed. They had an interview and then had a group discussion. They had to discuss
Jean-Paul Sartre. Another great thing for Hannah was she was able to take that and sit down with Mr. Garner and review some of those concepts, and he helped her so much. And on the way to the interview, we talked about existentialism and that type of thought and what it invariably leads to. And she felt prepared for that.
Hannah has been invited to a scholarship day at Berry College.
These places are looking for young men and women who can think critically, who present themselves well, who can add value to their college or university. And I'm totally confident that Paideia Academy can do all those things, and that students graduating from the school are not only going to be prepared, but they're going to be people that stand out.
I wasn't prepared like at all for this. I had no idea we were doing this today, so I have no idea what we're.
Not right. No, she couldn't throw me money. She wasn't allowed to.
She's not the money.
Yeah, she wasn't the money thrower, so she couldn't throw me any money.
I'm not going to college. I'm dropping out.
Hate school.
I hate school. I hate this school. Sort of. You just yelled at us and told us to run.
See?
You're not recording, right? So I can like say that or.